I installed this solar power system about 2 years ago, but I made a major mistake, and I'm going to cover what I did wrong and how I'm going to fix it today. These two inverters, you see I've got the covers open right now because I'm going to show you inside exactly what I'm doing. They're both EMP-hardened Sol-Ark 15K inverters, and they're EMP hardened primarily inside the inverter itself, but there's one component outside the inverter that I completely missed. What that consists of is that wrapping these ferrite suppressors, which is this little, I don't know if that's lead or what that is on the inside. This clamshell is closed around all of the wires on the PV, on the solar array, which I'll show you outside. We have 44 kb solar 450 watt bifacial panels on a Sinclair seasonally adjustable ground mount rack, and I'm going to put these larger ferrite suppressors around the wires running from each panel. And then when I go inside the house and all around here inside the barn, for any appliance that stays plugged into the wall, I'm going to be putting these smaller little ferrite suppressors around the wire. So this will be washer and dryer, TV, computers. And this isn't guaranteed, and they say in the manual that it's not even required to get a complete EMP hardened system. But I think it's really important that every aspect of the system that they've developed that makes it stronger and more reliable in a severe event like an EMP or a coronal mass injection, solar flare, or even lightning, we should install every single component of that. So what you're seeing here is roughly 50 of the small ones which go into the appliances in the home and in the barn here. And then I've got the larger ones here for the solar array. I don't know if you can see the difference there. And I've got these other rings called battery toroid. It's hard to say. And these go around the battery cables. There'll be 2 in each inverter like this. And I'll show you where I'm going to put those here in just a second. So in the manual, there is a little diagram here. You want to use 2 for each inverter regardless of how many cables you have running in there. So you either have 2 or 4 running into each inverter. That would be 1 negative, 1 positive, or 2 negatives and 2 positives. So for me, I've got 2 inverters, so I've got a total of 4 of these toroid rings. And you can see that from my batteries, I have 3 positive cables and 3 negative cables. 1 set for each stack. I've got 18 of these Rubik's Gigastack batteries. Now you can see over here that we've got these little bus bars in between the batteries. I'm not so worried about that because those little short bus bars are a terrible antenna for an EMP. But where they state that you want to put these battery toroids is inside the inverters. So where these all come in together, 3 positive, 3 negative, they get combined and come into each inverter as single positive and negative. So I need to put 2 of these toroid battery suppressors around each cable. So it will be like that. 1 here and 1 over in this inverter. Okay, I've just installed these on the entire array, and I just want to show you again, this is the little ferrite suppressor, and they just close. They kind of snap together, but in order to make sure they just do not fall off, especially in the high winds, I'm going to show you how I installed them and also some of my wire management that I have underneath this array. So these little PVC sleeves that you see running along here are what I have the wires tucked in. It just keeps everything much neater and cleaner looking under here. Where these wires come together, I've got these ferrite suppressors with the zip tie. Also, I drilled holes and put that zip tie around there. That just keeps those wires, they kind of have a little bit of spring to them, from popping out. It just keeps them tucked in. And then there's these connectors which hold that PVC there. This is something that I ordered when I bought the ground mount, and they overlap. So there's enough to run all the way down. Again, here's more. Another ferrite suppressor. And I've got them all throughout down here. See if I can find another one. I have them tucked in. Here's another one here. And they go around both wires from each panel. Just have these tucked in, these little, you see what I mean by how springy they are, which is why I have these zip ties. And they're threaded through. So I put 2 holes here, and then I went up and around all the wires back through, tightened it, and then snipped off the excess. This is the ground, copper ground that runs all the way through, connecting all the panels. There's another ferrite suppressor. Every single one has them. 44 panels divided into 6 mini arrays, which all comes together in these DC isolators. You can see I've got array 1 and 2 on this one, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. I can turn off and completely isolate those 2 arrays. This is my workbench here in the barn. I know it's really messy, don't judge. Come on, you know yours isn't that clean. If you're like me, you're charging a ton of different batteries all the time. So I've got all of these battery chargers as well as all the various equipment that I use with those batteries. And this is only a small handful. We have electric chainsaws, blowers, weed eaters, everything that we use these super M18 heavy duty 12.0 batteries on. But anyway, the chargers do stay plugged in all the time. If there was an EMP, these would get fried. Little things like vacuum cleaners and fans, I'm not even that concerned about because I could easily survive if they did get fried. Obviously, you wouldn't want to lose any of your electronics, but that's why I keep them unplugged most of the time for, you know, just a lower risk of fire and just because they don't need to be plugged in. So here's my Milwaukee supercharger, and I'm going to put that right here. That's it. And just to be even more redundant, I'm going to attach one to my power strip here as well. For some of the really heavy duty appliances, we need these bigger ones that I had left over from the array. I have this unplugged because I didn't want it to come on while we were doing this video, but normally this stays plugged in all the time, this compressor, and this would be something you would not want to lose if there was an EMP. Now the instructions dictate that I put this as close to the appliance as possible, not the easy way, which is on the cord that you can see peeking out where it plugs into the wall here. So I'm just going to slide this out, as well as our other refrigerators and freezers in the house. You know, that's a big one because when the power goes out, you only have so much time on your freezers and refrigerators to preserve all of your stored food. Obviously, we have stored food that doesn't require refrigeration, but it would really suck if you lost everything in all your freezers and refrigerators. So this is definitely one of the primary appliances we're trying to protect. This is way down at the bottom, of course, one of the hardest spots to reach, but that's where I snapped it on. These are arguably the most important appliances in the house, and this is the coffee station. I've got my little kettle over here, my espresso maker, and a grinder. Things could be worse. I'm feeling fairly lucky with the washer and dryer. I can get to it just by pulling the dryer out this far. The connector for the washer is up high near the back, and then the one for the dryer I can kind of reach down. And of course, don't forget your all-important mechanical equipment and your computers. So I didn't show you all of that because I didn't want this video to go on too long. All in, this probably took me about 2.5 hours. As you know, if you're military or prepper or law enforcement, that redundancy is key. 2 is 1, 1 is none. So we want to have as many redundancies as possible to try and protect our gear should we have a major EMP or a coronal mass injection, or even lightning. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I throw away about 50 kilowatt hours of power every single day when my batteries go into float, about 12 or 1 o'clock on a sunny day. So I am going to add 6 gigastack batteries. I have 18 now, there's 6 in each stack. So I have to bring my electrician out to do that. And when he does that, I'll be putting those toroid sleeves on these battery cables, and I'll bring that to you in a part 2. If you want to see the construction of this Sinclair ground mount adjustable array, I'll put that video right here.